Hi, welcome back everyone to the Cancel for Maintenance podcast. If this is your first time joining us, we are a show that talks about the non-glamorous life of aviation maintenance. We share some laughs, impart some wisdom, all in hopes to giving you that moment's reprieve in your day to prevent mishaps. I am your host, Six.
I'm MVP.
And our third man, Shoreline, is silently in the background, making sure our audio is good to go and our faces stay fit for radio. I still think it's funny every time I say that. So today is more like an over the hip bonus episode. We've gone over some stuff. We've talked about a lot of things, and we're kind of like reflecting about a bunch of stuff that we've done since we first started the show. We had a behind the scenes episode some time ago explaining like how we got started, how we found our name, and what steps we took after the fact. And today we kind of just want to reflect on that because we are hitting so many milestones we never thought we would hit. We hit so many charts that we never even thought we would chart in the first place. And we got a bunch of projects in the line that for the most part is really challenging our creativity. Let's say that much. Like the show itself was a huge challenge to our creativity of what we want to talk about, what we want to be about, and how we want to come across. And it's been a fun
we kind of started. We kind of started to cut you off. We kind of started off doing a lot of clowning around, and then at one point we kind of said, I don't know when it was, Six, maybe remind me, but we kind of just switched into like sort of topic driven with some clownery mixed in.
Yeah, and so I think how it started for us when we first made that transition from clowning around to being a little bit more serious. I want to say that happened after our first or our second in-person recording. I want to say it was our second. And
I think so.
And the reason for the shift was because, like, I think we've matured as individuals. If that's too much of a stretch for a lot of people, but the reason why we say that was because when we started the show, we were very angry with a lot of stuff, a lot. And I believe everyone across the world was in the same mindset because of the circumstances that drove them there. And there came a point, especially with us, we kind of burned out on being so angry. Like, being angry was exhausting. And we felt like doing that on the show to just keep trying to feed it gas when there's nothing to give as far as the anger was concerned was not helping. Right. And so I think it was you, MVP, that came up with the ideas. You know what, man, let's start working more towards like the how to fix it phase. Right. Like we've aired our concerns. We pointed out what was wrong. So let's just be more solution based.
Yeah, because it was more like along the lines of, well, anybody can point out problems.
Yes.
But what are we doing to resolve type thing?
And I think that's where we really found ourselves as far as the show and as far as our characters were concerned. Because when we are in our real-time jobs, we always get very frustrated when people who all they did was just bitch. Right? Like they say, hey, there's a problem with the toilet. There's a problem with the door. There's a problem with aircraft, whatever. Like, cool. What are you going to do about it? I don't know. They just told me to come tell you. So that's my job for today. Bye, everybody. And we saw that kind of morph for ourselves with podcasts, especially that was like the thing to do was talk about problems or talk about how someone just like exceeded their problems or transcended their problems, whatever. And it never really talked about the how or how we got there. So MVP made a huge idea. That was like the biggest thing. And when we started diving into this, it started solving a lot of problems for ourselves. Like, is aircraft maintenance a trade? Is it a skilled trade? What's a lot of problems that's been happening across the board? And we're not like saying we're experts or anything like that, but it really kind of opened our consciousness to a lot of things. Like, okay, a lot of issues, there are solutions, just either nobody wants to hear it or they don't want to hear it from you. So we started like really pushing that part out. Like, well, you're going to hear it one way or another. And it may not be from this person. but it might be from someone who understands you, right? At least that's how we feel that we've done. So we shifted more. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, well, and kind of what happened too, talking about the problems and exceeding beyond your problems is, we've talked about this in other episodes as well. We saw some problems, again, in the world and within the workplace. A bunch of those maybe, go hand in hand together. But, we had talked about how a lot of the leads from different shops would come into our office. And, the only thing we were missing from being a legit therapy office was a couch and credentials.
Yeah.
But they would come in and, voice their concerns too. And they felt like they weren't being heard in their own, by their own leadership. So they came to us and in hopes that, we could talk them off the ledge a little bit, but maybe provide some wisdom and guidance. And, we decided we're like, hey, we can impart this on the show too. Let's take what we're learning in real life and apply it to the show. Cause I'm sure we're not the only ones who are experiencing these situations. And let's put forth some thought into how we can help people resolve, what the problems they're facing on a daily basis. And, it doesn't have to all be big problems. It could be just as simple as I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. And now my neck's got a kink in it type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably it could be getting older. Right. But we wanted to, put that out there and kind of like, hey, let's get everybody on the same page across the globe if we can. And let's talk about what we got going on in the industry.
Yes, exactly. And now that became a huge maturity turning point for us because, again, we fed on a lot of emotions, we fed on a lot of anger. And then once we started shifting to the solution based, it opened up a lot for us for both of where we stood as a show and then how we were as real life individuals. And it slowly started to heal ourselves. As we dive into those issues, or as we dove into those issues, we started looking for solutions, articles, something that would kind of address this topic. And it was an eye-opener for us as well. An example was we had an episode with a therapist and a dietitian in the same episode. That wasn't because we thought it sounded cool. That was a legit struggle that we were going through. We were struggling with dietary problems. We were struggling with some other issues mentally. That was just kind of like a cry from ourselves. And then when we actually brought them on and heard them talk, that was like, wow for us. We were very mind blown, especially with some of the stuff that they were saying. It was very mind blowing. And it was a very, I don't know how to say, what's the word for epitome, but it was a very eye-opening experience for us because if we did not know that, or if we weren't fully aware to it, then who else was it, as MVP said? And that evolved. Well, that was a more recent example, but other examples in the past have really evolved this. And we're more than just the ones that just want to tell you of how shitty things are being. We want to make fun of it, obviously, but we also want to steer you away from all the wrong turns. We've made them ourselves more than enough times. The cycle can't end unless we start talking about it and then trying to help come up with a solution instead of just shooting down the messenger every time we get. And I feel like that's kind of where we are right now as aviation specialists. Is we're very keen on shooting down the solution before it's even addressed, right? Or we start poking holes in the cheese before we realize what we're dealing with, if that makes any sort of sense.
It's a cultural thing, right? There's always going to be naysayers and everything that goes on. You're always going to have people standing on the sidelines waiting to jump on the bandwagon for positive change. That's just the reality. And if the ship sinks, they're the first ones going, I told you so. But if it works out and they jump on and go, and they reap the benefits of others, and that's okay. You're always going to have those individuals. But like Six said, with the dietitian and with the mental therapist, they know how to word things and get us to got me to think a little deeper. And even after the show was over, I've been kind of thinking about stuff ever since. I've got stuff going on in my own work realm that are been very trying lately, right, to my mental sanity.
Yes.
But I think about some of the stuff they said, and I try to work through it. And I'm one who heals through laughter and sarcasm, but that's more of a Band-Aid than anything.
Yeah.
So it's why, getting back to what we were talking about. So that's why we try to get people like that on the episode, because it's something Six and I are going through, and we're going, hey, if we're going through it, well, we're definitely not the only one. So let's get the professional in here and talk to us and talk to everybody about what's going on. And that's kind of where we're trying to get with the show, right? We like to laugh and joke and smoke and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, we do want to provide real solid solutions to ours and yours problems, good and bad, right?
Yeah.
Good and bad. Hey, I recently got promoted. Fantastic. Claps all around. But I'm taking over a shop who have been considered underperforming. How can I motivate them? Oh, great. Let's talk about that. That kind of stuff. We really, like I said, we want to take our former therapy office and turn it into a international therapy session here. That's what I always tell Sixes. I was like, this is my weekly therapy session. Six is my my therapist for the most part.
And vice versa. Like, where this is all one giant group therapy session, right? Like, there's no real leader in all this. It's just kind of like, well, let's hear your concern. Maybe I have that one piece that's kind of missing from your whole complete puzzle, right? And then vice versa with MVP and Shoreline. Like, we bounce ideas with each other. We bounce some feelings, both good and bad, from what we've had for the day, the week, the month. And in somehow of doing all that, we kind of figure the solution, figure a path forward, just like regular therapy. We will say, like, though, like, don't just rely on that to be your only therapy, right? If it's something so drastic, definitely seek something more professional, right? In a more controlled setting. So, but along with that, we didn't want to just say we want to be mental health, because if we labeled the podcast as mental health, then we're competing with all sorts of other gurus who we get lost in the sauce with a lot.
Well, we're competing with licensed professionals,
right?
And our license actually is more. Our license states certified airframe and power plant mechanic, not certified therapist.
Right, exactly. and so we wanted to hit the nail where it should land, which was aviation, and which was aviation maintenance. Sadly enough, like, if you were to look up aviation as far as entertainment and podcasting is concerned, it falls under like travel, which it's kind of sort of not that, but we're here anyway. So finding us and kind of framing the show that fits to a category which other platforms have was a little difficult. And even so, when we try to like compete in other areas, like with awards or magazines or whatever, we say leisure, they're thinking, oh, it's fun, it's happy, it's all about like the joys of travel. Like, no, it kind of talks about a little bit more deeper stuff than that. Right? So it became a little weird. And it also kind of challenged us creatively. Yeah, I can't talk right now. I'm terrible. But it kind of challenged us creatively too, because like, how do we put the information across and still come off as funny, as informative, and as solution based, without just like info dumping you and sounding like a classroom lecture. In some cases, it's unavoidable because that's just how some subjects are. But we do our best to kind of make this engaging as possible, to make this as, for lack of better words, entertaining as possible, and also to likewise voice the concern to people. Like, here's what's going on, here's what the issue is, here's how we feel you can fix it, or here's an avenue which you may try to help you fix it. At the very least, that was the thing. And as we were coming along, as we were evolving, a lot of shows started to convert to video or YouTube style shows, which for them, that's fantastic because there's a lot of production behind the scenes that goes on that a lot of us are just not equipped enough to understand, especially with video. Like, if you're doing video anything for 10 minutes of shoot time, you're looking at least 45 to 3 hours worth of work. And we just don't have that kind of time, which is why we're kind of confined thus far to the audio side of the house for us. There's different ways to do it. We could just like live stream it through some kind of way with our phones and stuff. And to those that do it, by all means, you're doing a fantastic job, but it just didn't fit for us as far as what we were going to do. So to kind of bridge that gap with having something visual is we came up with our comics, which definitely a credit to Nine and Bubbles and Kool-Aid and some of our patrons for that idea to begin with, because we never even thought about comics. We love reading them for sure, but we never thought about full-on comics as a visual aid to the stuff that we say and do on the show. And as we started diving into that, we did a little bit of research to see what kind of comics are out there, what kind of stuff about aviation is out there, because we didn't want to plagiarize anybody. But as we were going, we got very disgruntled about it because the only stuff that was relatively close to what we do were safety posters, were like those nice to know kind of posters, or like stuff that's not even related to aircraft maintenance in general. Like, well, that fucking sucks. That's a fucking pain in the ass. So it really motivated us even more to want to do it. Like, well, it kind of started that way with the show. Like, there wasn't that much of an aviation maintenance presence in podcasting. So now it's going to evolve into this comic. And the amount of stupid shit that we've scripted or drafted before actually going with a final was outrageous. we got real stupid with it.
But it was kind of cool the first time we saw ourselves in comic form, and I got to tell you, comic MVP looks much better than the real life version.
Yes, same here. Same.
Poor Kool-Aid.
And when we did that, we took a full on gamble with that. We didn't know what the fuck we were doing. Kind of like the podcast, but even less, because comics, it's a whole different universe, and this is a well established universe. And a lot of the critics there, they're very very shark like, let's say that. And we didn't know how to present it. We didn't know there was a very popular format that's still being used today, and it kind of did fit the narrative of what we wanted to do. And there's probably a bunch of people out there who probably hate the way we write our comics, but when we decided to do it, it filled the gap for us as far as visual aid is concerned. Like, visually, this is what we talk about. And then it also filled not necessarily unintentional, but it filled a gap that we didn't know existed, which is the fact that there's no aircraft maintenance in comics, like, period. And that motivated us to do it even more. And we started storyboarding this stuff, coming up with stuff. And then when we finally had our first ever comic come out, it was the Canberra comic. We looked at it, we were like just in almost in tears. We were so mind blown of just how it came out. Like, for one, it looked fucking fantastic. Like, we see like characters that resemble us, that resemble the people that we know, that resemble the stories that we used to have, or that we still have, sorry. And we saw that as like a potential like a benchmark for us, because we see not only ourselves in this, we see our memories in this, and that's kind of like going to a whole legacy feeling for us. Like, this is something we can pass on. This is a story we can tell. This is like highlighting the stuff that happens on the floor on a day-to-day basis. Some of the stories, yeah, they're a little far-fetched, or they're exaggerated quite a bit, but they're, for the most part, true. They actually have happened in some degree. Again, like, some of the stuff was very exaggerated, like ghosts don't pop out of airplanes and shit. Well, at least we hope they don't. But the feeling of that happening has happened. Or like say giant spiders are attacking your truck. It did actually happen, but it felt like it did. So, um,
Speaking of spiders, man, I was on the road recently for work, and I was down in Florida, the part they call Lower Alabama, and I forgot how big wolf spiders can get.
you know what? I totally forgot of wolf spiders, how big they can get, and I kind of don't want to look it up.
They can jump, and they're quick, and then so I was looking up something about them, and then I guess in like cranberry bogs, they love sitting on the tops of the cranberries, but as the people are working and they're in their waders walking out through the bog, like as they start pulling out the cranberries, there's nothing for the spiders to sit on, so they run towards the highest surface. And guess what the highest surface is?
No.
You. So they had a picture of this person just like calmly raking and moving the cranberries around, and they had like 6 fucking spiders on their back, and I almost died looking at that picture.
No.
It's like, oh my god, never working in a cranberry bog.
Yeah, nope, unfazed. Count that as one job I will not do. Kudos to you who do it, but I can't do it, especially with freaking wolf spiders on my back. No, absolutely
fucking,
not.
Oh, dude, I got chills. Look, if you can see my arms right now, I got goosebumps. Oh, yuck.
No, absolutely not. No. And so that's kind of like the stuff we put about with our comics. I mean, we've only have like at this point in time only like 10 issues out there on Tapas, but we are hoping to expand this more to like have it in a book form, like at least all the ones we put thus far, possibly the next couple here in the near future. So that's been a project for us. What's been also been another big thing for us is like being more involved with like say like conventions, conferences, be it in person or virtual, or at least talk to the people who do go to conventions and conferences and so forth. Because as we move away from the pandemic restrictions, a lot of stuff becomes more available, more accessible, and we highly encourage you to go to like a conference or convention. It's a huge money blow, don't get us wrong, but the amount of networking and availability you can find in those things is monumental. And we have an episode in the works of like some people who have gone and just share some of their experiences with it. And some listeners have shared some of theirs when they went to like the aircraft maintenance competition last year. It was big. It was huge. And just hearing that involvement for people who we've never met, that's pretty big. So if we were to actually physically go there and see them and interact with you, that's been one of our biggest aims since starting the show. Is like we want to see people, we want to interact with you, we want to like hear your thoughts and opinions and stuff, and not just because we want to use it as show material, but it's because like we want to actually legit understand how you're doing and then possibly help you through it in some way, shape, or form. Whether like give you a reference, give you a resource, or just like buy you a bag of chips or some shit, like something, because that's what we're about. We like that engagement. We like helping you in one way, shape, or form. And we are hoping that the show and the comics are doing that. And I feel like the third piece of the pie is just physically being there with you. So we're trying. It's expensive, but we're trying.
Yeah, slowly but surely. I guess all good things come with time.
Yes.
To impart a statement my mother used to make all the time and still does. All good things in time.
Yes, we're getting there, and all good things in time is a very hallmark statement for us, because, like I said, like when we started this, we had no expectations, we had no inclination of what this would lead to, and then now, like here we are. Not to brag too hard, but we've won 2 awards, we've been on charts. We've been, for lack of better words, featured. We've collaborated on grants and stuff like that. So we're doing all sorts of stuff that we never physically saw ourselves doing. And the fact that we are making it just makes us try to explore more creatively of like, how do we aim this in a way that really helps people? Example was the grants. So hopefully we can do scholarships, or we can do in-person awards or something like that, just to really like help you, the individual, the listener, or the technician or aspiring technician, to just get you through the day, help you progress in your career and your life, and then prevent mishaps, which is 100% what we're about. We want to prevent the wrong turns for creating mishaps. So we're hoping we're getting there. We're hoping we're giving that to you, and we got some stuff in line that we hope is gonna get you there even better, or give you more avenues to get you there. So it's been a fun ride, and we have each and every single one of you to thank. Our patrons, especially our patrons, all our friends and family who've encouraged us, even though they thought it was the stupidest idea ever. and especially you, the listeners. You're the ones who motivate us to keep doing it. Your stories, your feedback from us in all our various presence outlets are what give us motivation to do it. And probably one of the best motivators we get is whenever someone says, "Hey, thanks for helping me," or "Hey, thanks for making me feel better," or something like that. That's like probably like the biggest reward we've ever get, shy of just like flat out saving a life. So we appreciate every single one of you for all that you do. We appreciate you for listening. For all of you guys, for all that you do. Like, hey, like, you may not be famous, but you are in our eyes. That's what I think anyway. You have any other thoughts on anything, MVP?
No, just big thanks to everybody again. Thanks for sticking with us. Thanks for helping us continue on this journey, and we'll keep imparting as much help and wisdom as we're able to.
Absolutely. And hey, if you want to support us, the absolute best way is to join us on Patreon and join our Discord. We have so many discussions. We have so many ideas for show topics. You guys get exclusive access to us. You get access to all the things we have in work and whatnot. So that is like the best way to support us. And if not, listen to us, share it with your friends and family, and then just like pass on any ideas that you may have for us through whichever means easiest for you. By all means, let us know, like, hey, are we helping you? Or do we have any solutions that we haven't touched? Is there any topics you would like us to touch? Just FYI, we're not about that hate thing. Like, as much as shit we could talk about pilots, aircrew, and everything of the like, we will talk about it if there's a lesson to it. But if we're just talking about it just to bitch, then you might hear maybe 2 minutes of it max. Just saying. But who knows, man? That we're progressing along, and we'll see where this whole ride takes us. That note, hey, we thank you all again for listening. We appreciate your support in whatever shape that is, and we'll catch you all again on the next one. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
We would like to take this time to thank our patrons for supporting our show and allowing us to make episodes, maintain our gear, and create merch for all of our listeners. With special thanks to Erica Lamont, Chris Hawkins, Eric Shaw, Dan Schubert, Ryan Frushauer, Kyle Keir, Mike Sherwood, Caleb Stockhill, and Jennifer Brofer. Thank you all so much for your support and patronage. If you like our show, please support us on Patreon. You'll receive awesome perks like access to our private Discord, discounts and early access to our merch, first glimpse of our comics and other projects, and so much more. You can further support us and show off your prowess as an aircraft specialist by visiting our shop at cancelformaintenance.com. If you like classy or rugged watches, visit our affiliate Rockwell Time at rockwelltime.com. Use the code CX4MX to save 10% off your total order. If you have suggestions for the show or you'd like to be a guest on the show, send us a line on our contact us section at cancelformaintenance.com, and we'll do what we can to get both your ideas and yourself on the show. Please support us on social media like Facebook at Cancel for Maintenance, Instagram at CANX for Maintenance Podcast, or Twitter at CXMX Podcast. Please check out our new comic series on the Tapas app. Like, share, subscribe, and comment on our comics. Let us know what you think. Thank you all so much for your support and listenership, and we will catch you all next time.